I'm not one to share many personal stories about myself. I would not be here today typing out this story if I didn't think that someone could give me an explanation. I recently turned 21, and I'd finally saved up enough money to move out of my parents' house into my own apartment. At first, everything was going great. I had everything set up the way I wanted it, and I was enjoying the freedom that came with living on your own. The only bad thing about it was that I thought the upstairs neighbours were very lively. I'd hear them walking around at all hours of the night, and I was actually happy to see them go only 2 months later. I thought that after they left, everything would be so much better. Now that I wouldn't have the neighbours waking me up with their stomping all over the house. At that time, I'd just put pillows over my head, especially when it got so loud that it sounded like they were right outside the bedroom door and not a floor above. It was not until 3 nights after they moved out that I realised it would not be that easy. I was woken up again, around 2 in the morning, to the same sound of stomping steps. I could not ignore how close they sounded anymore. I could not brush it off as the loud neighbours upstairs, because that apartment still lay empty in wait of the incoming new tenants. This happened for another 3 days. Every night, I'd find myself awake at 2:30 in the morning, listening to what sounded like someone paced the hall right in front of my bedroom door. It still happens every morning at 2:30. No matter what steps I take to try to make myself sleep through the night. Medications, meditation, white noise machines. It doesn't matter what it is. I always find myself awake at the same time. After a while, things were getting harder to ignore. But I always broke them down to myself just hearing things. Other than the footsteps and the occasional movement of objects that I knew were not in the same place that I'd left them the night before, nothing really out of the ordinary was happening. This was true until last night. I was about to go to bed because I had to be at work early this morning. As I was brushing my teeth, I thought I saw something move out of the corner of my eye. I glanced over my shoulder and just brushed it off quickly when nothing was there. But when I turned back to face the sink to finish what I was doing, my eyes locked with this black shadow that was rocking back and forth on the wall behind me. I looked back and forth from the mirror to the wall no less than 6 times before I confirmed the unsettling fact that the shadow was only visible through the mirror. I stood there horrified, and my toothbrush dropped to the ground as I watched this shadow morph into the shape of a distorted human. Throwing my hands up, I turned around as fast as I could. But again, there was nothing there. I rubbed my eyes hard, thinking to myself that I need more sleep. I thought I was just letting the noise of the house settling at night get to me. Retrieving the discarded toothbrush, I turned back to the mirror and was met with something that I still cannot explain. Standing directly behind me, as its own individual being, was the same dark shadow from before. Frozen in my spot, I watched in horror as the being morphed again. Slight features started to appear right above my shoulder. The shadow seemed to form holes for eyes, a sharp, pointed nose, and a long, ragged, toothy smile. The air around me felt heavy, cold, like I was suffocating in the air where I'd just been able to breathe fine. I mustered up the strength to turn around and was once again met with nothing but the same features of the bathroom that had always been there. Even today, I'm having a hard time convincing myself that it was just a product of sleep deprivation. I pose this to you all in hopes to get an explanation. I'm a lifelong skeptic, and I know there must be someone who can help me fix my sleep schedule so that these silly delusions can stop.